What's going on, guys? It's Adam P and welcome back to match day here at St James's Park. Apologies for being a bit overdressed. I'm basically going to the M&A after this, so I'm hoping I'm going to be in a good mood. I'm hoping Newcastle starts off the day with a positive result against Wolves, and it is the story. I think it's this simple. I think it's the story of Nick Woltemade today. Of course, Johan Whistler's out, and ironically, Strand Larsen is also out today for Wolves. So both of the strikers towards the end of the transfer window that wanted to join Newcastle, both players are missing today, so Newcastle would have been knackered regardless of which striker we signed in the end. But we're taking on a Wolves team which, to be honest, all of their attacking threat is Strand Larsen. So when you take Larsen out of that team, reminds me quite a lot of Newcastle so far this season. Without that focal point, they just struggle to score goals, and especially at St James's Park. I'm confident today, even though I feel like perhaps Nick Woltemade, I wouldn't exactly say being thrown into the deep end. You've got to remember, he's just played 2 games for the German national team at senior level, so he's just played in harder expectations and harder situations than now against Wolves. I think Barcelona is the bigger question of what's going to happen for that game. Of course, Johan Whistler, knee problem, expected to be out for weeks, so we're going to see how that goes. Today is nice enough where we should be winning regardless. No excuses there. Let's just get this Wolves game done, get it over and done with. Let's just make sure we actually win the game and get points on the board, because we've been a team that's deserving a lot of points and got barely any because of stuff behind the scenes. That's now what we're dealt with. We move on now. Has to be 3 points today. I can't emphasise how important this game is. Of course, if you guys are new around here, make sure you get down there, hit that subscribe button, smash the like button if you enjoy the content. Of course, it keeps you updated on future news, which we'll get back to tomorrow. As for now, Wolves and then Barcelona Thursday night Champions League. My word, I can't wait for that game. We just have to get this Wolves game nice start, get it over and done with. Make sure we pick up 3 points today.
There we have it, St James's Park today. That view never ever gets old. Just to explain a couple of things before we head to the game. So of course, Wolves, as you can see up there, that is a sort out away end, and I'll give them credit for that, because the amount of times where I see that we are not so out is astonishing. And just over there, you'll see this a lot with these, obviously be the schools and those who get opportunities and invites into the stadium, and just on the top of this Dundee school thing on Thursday, that area down there is where you would probably expect that section would have been. So still a bit perplexed and puzzled how that situation's kind of transpired to be, but I feel like the 45 seconds with the Dundee section that's now been all cancelled would have been the same area and those lads were now.
23, Jacob Murphy. Number 27, Nick Woltemade.
Ball in for Murphy, header back post. It is trademark stuff. I have to say, the last 10 minutes or so, I actually think he's moved quite well into the game. Not started off that wasn't that much of an impact to start the game, or he's moving into it well.
of Thursday night is prepared.
Well, there we have it. Full time here at St James's Park. Newcastle United 1, Wolves 0. And we'll talk about that main man shortly. I want to briefly speak about the opposition team first, as we always do. To be fair to Wolves, they were a lot better today than I thought they would be. They started the game off extremely well. Should have scored twice inside the first 40 seconds. Hell, they should have scored the quickest goal in Premier League history. How fluid that first attack was from them. But it was a game where, send the intro without Stan Larson, but we know deep down what happens when you don't have a striker up front. And for them, had chances, didn't take any of them. And speaking of chances, Newcastle had plenty today as well. It was just one of them games where I felt Newcastle had a very strong first half, but struggled a lot and just weren't comfortable enough in the second half to be able to finish Wolves off and just sort everything out. But you have to speak about the main man today, Nick Woltemade, the perfect debut you could possibly do for Newcastle there. Scored a match winner, a decisive match winner, and I want to be honest on a personal level between me and you. To be honest, going into this game today, I wouldn't say I was worried about Nick Woltemade, but I knew deep down he's just been out in national break, lost both his games for Germany, and while it's not his fault to lost both those games, I can imagine going into this game, he'll probably be low on confidence. He's been kind of thrown into the deep end. Johan Wissa would have likely started today. His injury has forced Woltemade to be able to step up for Newcastle. Did he do that? Absolutely, yes, he did. I thought he was very strong for an opening debut. May have taken him around 20 minutes or so to gradually grow into the game. But once he grew into the game, he was a real presence against Wolves. 6'6" was already a nightmare to deal with. And what a well-taken goal that is in terms of a technique from a striker. Just poke the head in there. Any other striker will be jumping and leaping for Murphy's cross, but he just pokes it in there because he's that tall already. And I felt Newcastle in the first half were actually very good. I thought we were top quality in the first half. And it was one of them games where it's been the story all season long. We just haven't been able to take chances. And again, it was kind of that situation there. Took one chance, but the amount of chances there, I can't make it clear enough. Especially in the attacking third, we need to be more clinical. The amount of contributions we're growing into the game is a lot, but we're just not taking chances when we had them. I felt like Newcastle should have been 2 up at half time. Tonali was extremely unlucky. He was my man of the match, by the way, today. Tonali, Bruno, that midfield and that defence has been class all season long. That defence, bearing in mind, Burns, Shaw, Trippier, all over 30 years old, and they're all quality. Like, I think our backline's class. I think the midfield's class, and Newcastle's front three and that attacking front three is the one thing that's really, I guess, I wouldn't say keeping us back, but certainly the thing Newcastle needs to improve on, I reckon. And I think once you got Gordon in there against Barcelona, it would likely be Gordon, Elanga, and Woltemade through the middle against Barcelona. And I feel like once you have Wissa there on the bench, or either starting alongside Woltemade, what an attack you have. I feel like Newcastle just need to be able to get that attack sorted out, but that's still currently the thing that's, I guess, holding us back, even though today we won the game regardless. My concern is against Barcelona, you're going to need to take your chances. If you don't take your chances against them, they are ruthless. They're going to score against us. I'll be amazed if we get a clean sheet against Barca. They're a team that, although reports indicate that Yamal might actually miss the game altogether, Lewandowski's good, Pedri's good. They've still got a real quality that will penetrate and rip Newcastle apart, and that is a game where we need to turn up with, especially opening Champions League match. Realistic. I think it's a realistic game we can win, but a hard game. That's going to be brutal on Thursday. Newcastle certainly have the capabilities based on performances this season. I feel like Newcastle, honestly, could have potentially had all 12 points if we had that striker thing sorted out. Newcastle were a striker for winning all 4 of those games so far. So our performance has actually been good, I feel like. Just need to get it together against Barca. Need to get that attacking front three together. I feel like Barnes perhaps just the weakest link out of the 3 today. Murphy actually felt like had a great first half. He had a lot of contributions. Scored an offside goal. Was unlucky with the shot outside the box, almost in the top corner, just edged past the post. Barnes for me is just the one I'm not that keen on so far. Get Gordon in there against Barcelona. I give Barnes a rest. Let's see how he goes for Sunday. But certainly a game where Newcastle, at least now, I think you see on the bench today as well, are starting to get a good rotation, a good selection of players. But still, that's still just that one thing. If that was Johan Wissa today, that bench looks strong. We do have a good bench now, and anyhow, finally, after all the years of being a Newcastle United manager, finally has real depth on that bench and has real options to look at to try and change the game. And today, was it an amazing performance? No, it was enough. That's all we can say. We couldn't ask for anything more. Won the game, got a clean sheet, and your brand new striker scored a debut goal. What else can you ask for? I was absolutely bricking it in that second half, and I was hanging on to his year of life. But we won the game, and Newcastle had a good performance. I think there was a good performance amongst Barcelona. We move on, we deal with it, we look ahead to what is a huge Champions League game. Positive, but I could understand any critical, perhaps sceptical Newcastle fans walking out from that game, because that was a tight second half. It wasn't comfortable at all, and Wolves, while not really creating any chances, were just knocking on that door. It was a door that was getting battered into a bit, but Newcastle are going to be all right against Barca today. Nail biter, but we got there in the end. Good win. We move on to Thursday. All right, the lads, let's give our all. I can't wait to see how we do. But Nick Woltemade, stories about him today. Debut goal. You could not ask for anything more than that man today.